Greetings, it's Hyacinth Myers, and I am today going to be talking to you about why it is we need to take chances. I touched on it briefly on the keys to success about fear, but today I'm specifically talking about taking risks and in general, actually, in life. And the reason I'm actually going to talk to you about that is because I am talking to so many people, and I think you know as well, whether that's you or whether it's somebody you know, there are so many of us out there who are quite safe, and I was one of them. I'm still very safe, and I always weigh up whether something's a good risk or not. But sometimes we can become so entrenched in analysing whether something is a good risk that we actually miss the opportunity and we don't take the risk. Now I'm at a point in my life where I'm actually using my intuition a lot. I'm using my logic, so I'm looking at whatever the risk is, calculating it up first, and then using my intuition. And that's actually working quite well. And I think when I'm talking to people, when I talk about using intuition, I know many of us say, they're not sure if it is their intuition or not, and I'm not saying just because you have a feeling to do something to go ahead and do it. What I'm saying is to use both sides and both aspects of yourself. Use the logical part of yourself, but also use the unconscious part of yourself that usually tells you the truth and tells you exactly how you should really kind of proceed forwards. I'm talking to a lot of people who were actually saying, I think pre-COVID, that intuition is no good and spirituality they're not interested in. And I actually put out 2 polls on Twitter actually over this time to ask people if they have become more spiritually alert, and if they've become more spiritually in touch with themselves, or also if they have had more vivid dreams. And both of those were really quite high. It was over 80%, I think, of one of them, of the thing that people had most learned about over this whole COVID time is actually being their more spiritual self. And the spiritual self is really more being in touch with your intuitive self. Spirituality, people always think, is linked to a religion. I am not from, and I don't belong to any religion, but I'm very spiritual, so I know that there is a God out there. That's my belief. I also believe that the universe is greater and that we come from something far greater than we are ourselves, just as humans. So all of those beliefs really help me to kind of stay steadfast in some of my decisions in life. And I think really taking risks in anything you're doing, and especially at this time now, is really about learning to listen to yourself, to be able to trust yourself, listen to yourself, and also know that sometimes when you take a risk, it doesn't always mean it's going to be something bad. I think we're kind of trained in a way and programmed to think that taking risks are something really risky and something we shouldn't do. But if you speak to some of the biggest entrepreneurs out there and people that have really excelled, it's because they've taken a risk, they've taken an opportunity that they may not have even looked for. The opportunity may have found them. That has led to another door opening somewhere else and maybe meeting other people. And before you know it, there's a series of events that are actually not unfortunate. There are a series of events that are fantastic, perfectly aligned, perfectly divine, and at that time that are leading us to our path and our purpose. And when we find our path and our purpose, that's when we can wake up. That's when we actually don't mind doing 60 or 70 hours a week. And I've done that myself many times, and I'm happy to do that because I'm not resentful of doing that because it's for somebody, for a business that I'm not interested in, or someone else who's actually not appreciating my skills or my abilities. I do that for myself. So yeah, I just really wanted to talk about just kind of thinking about that and reflecting on taking risks. So I would just say the first thing to do when taking any risk is to look at the logical aspects of that. Just write it down, the basics, pros and cons of that risk. what could you benefit, what could be the losses. Then actually spend some time in quiet contemplation. And I really say that. I know people say, oh, that's really there's people that meditate, etc. And I'm saying to you, spend time in quiet contemplation, because there are so many people out there ready to give you your opinions. You can get those after if you really want to. And when you've spent that time in quiet contemplation, write if you need to write, meditate if you need to meditate, but actually come to an answer that you feel comfortable with. And then it's actually for you, if you want to just go ahead with that. And some people do like to have some kind of affirmation from somebody else or advice. Bear in mind, when you speak to people about some of what you want to do and some of your thoughts, be prepared for the unexpected, because sometimes you can really be on your path, like you've worked it out, the benefits are really good, and you've decided you're going to go ahead with something, and then it takes one person to say, oh no, that's not a good idea, and maybe blah blah blah. So you need to be strong in yourself before you start asking for other people's advice and opinions. And that's something I've learned also myself along the way. So I make a lot of my business decisions actually on my own, using this method myself, but also knowing that when I want people's opinions, I will actually ask them at the time. And sometimes it may help me change my mind. Other times, most of the time, it will make me just stay where I was with it, and then it usually more than likely works out really well. So just have a think about that this week. Stay blessed, stay focused, have a wonderful weekend, and just know that really life is all about taking risks, and look at some of the people you really admire to look at how you can proceed with that. Take care for now. Bye.